You want it, you got it. That's the belief. If you want something in life, you can have it if you
Yes,
take the right steps to get there.
exactly.
One of those steps is knowing how to navigate those steps.
Hmm.
Law of assumption coach. You need one of
Yes,
those because
yes,
what you want is out there, it's waiting for you. We're going to talk
exactly.
about that today and specifically masculine, feminine energy and how that pertains to your energy and how these things show up for you.
Yeah,
Well, we're going to dispel some of the myths that people might have about the
sure.
masculine, feminine thing there. She's Sue Carabello. She is a law of assumption coach, and she's with us again. How you doing today?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I've I've talked about this before.
Okay.
The masculine, feminine energy.
Hmm.
Um, we all have it. You could be
Yes.
a man and you have feminine energy, and vice
Hmm.
versa.
Right.
How do you know how much you have? Does it matter? How does that all work?
It really depends on what's in your core. Like what is in the core of who you are. And that's what needs to be the guiding force. Like everything else, you have to trust what that inner knowing is for you. Again, feminine and masculine energy have nothing to do with gender. It's about more about energy. It's the masculine side is very logical. It's very doing driven, analytical, as they say.
Hmm.
Whereas the feminine is more receptive, more creative, more intuitive and nurturing in her energy or his energy. Remembering it's not about the physical being, it's about the energy that you embody.
So I kind of wrestle with that. I'm going to be transparent here.
Sure.
Um, I'm not a typical guy. I don't feel I feel that there is, I'm going to say it. I embrace a feminine energy as well, and I use it to my best advantage, if you will.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm in touch with women. My career has the prize demographic in broadcast radio, all of that.
Hmm.
Women 25-54. That's like
Yeah.
standard. 25-54
Hmm.
women. Most
Right.
radio stations, that's what they're going after.
Okay.
Unless, let's say you're a rock station, it might be a 50-50 mix. By and
Right.
large, it's more women. Um, Apparently I've appealed to them because that's what I've been doing all my life.
Yeah.
And I think that connection, if you will, has
Yes.
worked for me. I don't know. I don't know what that connection is, but I feel that I'm more in touch with a feminine side, if that
And
makes
and
sense.
that's fine. It's about balance, right? It's we all have both energies within us, and we need to learn how to tap into those energies
This is what I'm saying.
when we need them, right? So in your case, if you are in touch with that feminine side in you and in your career, that is working for you. But there's also the masculine energy there at play as well. It's helping you show up for work. It's showing you how to organize yourself and to get the job done, right? That's the balance.
Oh my God! And
And
the logic, you identify that that's on the
mhm,
masculine energy.
yes.
I
Hmm.
wish I could turn that down sometimes.
Well,
It
and
gets in
and
the
that
way.
that's the key, right? But that's the balance. It's knowing when to shut the logical side off and really tap into the feminine side, that more creative, intuitive side. It's like, all right, especially like if you come into meditation, it's like it shuts down that logical mind so you can hear that feminine energy, that intuitive side, or your intuition, right? That gut instinct. Sometimes if we're so in our doing, like I have to compete, I have to analyze this, like how can I get this done? It's all about the steps, whereas the intuitive side is more like, let's just go with the flow this time, let's see what happens. And when we can learn to balance both, it just works in your favor. It
Hmm.
everything always works in your favor, but we need to know at our core, you know are we more on in touch with the feminine energy, are we more in touch with the masculine energy? And again, there's not a right or wrong answer. You need to get in touch with yourself to find that answer for you.
How can you identify what you've got or the mix of what you've got? Or is it always a moving target? It's always changing.
It's always changing. Like every moment changes, the
Hmm,
energy changes, right?
hmm,
So,
hmm,
but you need to, I know for myself, for a very long period of time, I was very much into, more into my masculine energy than to my feminine energy. I trusted my masculine energy more. So in my case, I was always doing, right? I was working a lot. I was always doing something. I couldn't quiet my mind down. I was always like, go,
Same,
go, go,
same,
logical. Like it was black or white. Like there was never
same.
like a gray area. And
Yeah,
there's always gray areas, right? Like everything is fluid and mobile and always moving. But in my mind, it was black or white, right? There was no gray area. And I was always about structure and being organized and
same.
having strict habits and whatnot. And, sometimes you don't need to have the strict habits. It's okay to maybe just be spontaneous and go and have fun and not think about why you're doing it and just do it
Let it
and
go,
let
let
it
it
go.
go.
Yes, like Elsa says, just
Exactly.
be present in the moment, right? That's where the beauty of life is, in the present moment. And sometimes if we're stuck, and I don't want to say stuck, but like if we are so focused or very dominant in one energy, sometimes we have to shift the balance to just let go and just be present and allow ourselves to intuitively guide us. Like if you want to go do something fun, like you don't need a reason, you don't need to know the logic behind it. Just go and enjoy it is the idea behind it.
Mm. Some do, some do.
Yeah.
It took me a long time to even get to that. And
Yeah.
I would say I'm half of that.
Yes.
So, let's say if take half and throw that away, and I'm more in tune with that and more open to that. But the whole
Right.
structure thing and all of that, it's amazing that we get into these rhythms, those
Hmm.
habits, rinse and
Yes.
repeat every day, doing the same thing.
And that's
It's
what it is. It like once we have identified our patterns, we can change them. But if we don't know what the pattern is, we're just going to keep repeating those patterns over and over and over again because it's what's comfortable for us and it's what's familiar. And I think we've spoken about this before. Like when we get into our egos look for what's familiar and what's comfortable because what's familiar and what's comfortable keeps us safe. So if we continue down a road where we're more in our masculine energy, and again, there's nothing wrong with that. But if we are looking to get more balance in our life and our ego is driving the bus, at any given moment, we can fall into a pattern where we're just rinsing and repeating, doing over and over because it's familiar, it's safe. I know how to do this process. I know this pattern. I know these habits. I can do this, right? And you rinse and repeat until at some point you're like, you know what, this doesn't seem to work for me. I need to learn how to balance these energies because again, that's the beauty of life when we can balance both the feminine and the masculine energies because we can drop into that nurturing side when we need to, when we can drop into that compassionate side for ourselves, especially if you're on a journey of self love, learning to have that compassion for yourself is very feminine. It's a very feminine energy. It's taking the time to nurture that side of us, nurture our goals, right? It's not always about taking action. It's about feeling what those goals would feel like. It's more about leaning into the uncomfortableness. It's more about listening to what our soul wants, what our heart wants, and listening to the cues of our bodies. But sometimes, like, we need to figure that out. And again, if we're more in our masculine, it's about, okay, I'm going to stop using my analytical mind. I'm going to feel more. And if I can feel into that more, how is this going to serve me? And that's where the balance comes in.
Isn't it interesting when you think about it that
Hmm.
people are just in a routine, do the same thing every day.
Yeah.
Maybe coming from a place of ego, things usually crop up. I can't find where are my keys? Where where are they? Because they're on autopilot. They're not even thinking. But then when something comes up where they need to react, let's say something breaks or whatever, it's like,
Right.
oh, something changed. I'm awake now, huh? Like if technically if something goes wrong here, I am a geek. I'm like, I got you. We'll get you back on the air. Don't worry about it. I'm not even.
Yeah.
That'd be fun. I'm
Right.
not asking for it, but that's I thrive on that change. Woo, okay,
Right.
great. But it's like more times than not, I'll look at people and it's almost as if they're creating these issues because life is just the same. Nothing's ever
Yeah.
changing. They're just
And
robotic.
it's okay. I think what it comes down to is that when you're ready to commit to that change, it's learning how to come back to self and balance it all. Like you never want to be so much in your masculine, which, where you're doing all the time, where you're working all the time, where you're always analyzing and being very logical. And when you're in that energy, you're always go, 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 right? There's a point where you can come back to the feminine side where you're balancing it more, where you're listening to that intuitive side, being a little bit more playful, um, creating, right? Creating
Mm,
is very feminine. It's like you're softening your body, you're softening your mind, and you're just creating. Like journaling, for example, is very creative. Painting, dancing, listening to music is a very creative, nurturing process for the body. So how
mm,
can we balance both, right? It's maybe carving out like 10 minutes a day just to do something like that. And when you're getting too much in your analytical mind, how can you come back to that softer, compassionate, nurturing side? Because we need both in order to thrive, because you don't never want to get so much into your masculine where I don't want to describe it as a workaholic, but I've been there. I was one of these people who was working,
I'm with you too. I'm saying the
you
same
know.
thing. And it didn't support, and it came from a place of fear,
Yes.
and
Hmm.
everything was fine.
Yeah.
But I would look at it and say, well, what happens if I, lose that job or that changes over there?
Right.
How am I going to support my family? Blah, 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 blah. Meanwhile, everything's great. What am I worried about?
Right. And that's the key, is recognizing that everything's going to be okay. But it's again, it's listening to yourself, right? It's
Yeah.
listening to that story. And sometimes if we get trapped in a story that, we've created for ourselves, we try really hard. And when we're talking about self-love and the law of assumption, a lot of what we need to remember is that the law of assumption works 100% of the time. The one thing we need to remember is inspired action. And inspired action is not about forcing or doing, it's about being intuitive and listening to yourself and doing something that feels good, that you're going to feel into that energy. You're going to feel into what you need to do versus, oh, I'm going to get in the car, I'm going to drive to the grocery store, and I'm going to take the same route. And for some reason, and this is your intuitive side, maybe, stop telling me to get on this exit. I'm going to go to the next exit. Maybe it's faster. Maybe there's a better parking spot. I'll get there sooner, whatever it is, right? That's that intuitive side. But sometimes we shut our intuitive side down for the logic. This is what works. This is what always works. Like the intuitive side is saying, let's try something different this time.
Mm. And do it with faith.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
you have to. Like if that's the beauty of life. And that is one of the keys to the law of assumption, is having faith in what's in your heart and what's in your soul that is meant for you. It's trusting. It's trusting that energy inside of you, that what is meant for you is always going to find you, and taking the inspired action when you need to. But the inspired action never can be forced. Like you have to trust and listen to what is going on within here.
Mm. Um, we've talked about manifesting.
Yes.
Um, Parking spaces, just as a test.
Yes.
I did it over the weekend again. And I
Did
went to,
you?
yeah,
Nice.
I went to a fall festival, early fall festival, and everybody's like, oh, it's packed, man. It starts at 9 o'clock. Oh, you got to get there. And I think I got there maybe 2 o'clock. And I
Yeah.
just manifested there will be a space. It's going to be in a great spot. And I turned the corner and I wasn't even sure where the festival is. I mean, I live in the
Yeah.
area, but I don't go to this spot.
Hmm.
And I turn the corner and I pull into this parking lot and bam, there's the space. And I look up. I'm like, oh, I'm here. There it is. Was right in the perfect
Yeah.
location. And truth be told, I forgot to pay for parking, but apparently, I don't know, I didn't get a ticket. It was all good.
You manifested a free parking spot.
Pretty much so. Pretty much so.
Awesome.
Yeah. And
It's,
I test it all the time. And I got to tell you, 95% of the time, the parking space thing works. So if
yeah.
that works, why can't the other stuff, right?
Well, and exactly, like, but it's remembering it's trust. It's having trust in what you're creating. It's having faith in what you desire, as being yours, right? What you want to desire and create in your life. You have to have full faith that what's going on in here is exactly true for you. You're not, you don't have to, you never have to force things to come into your experience. When you finally step into that space of self-love, you attract everything into you. You attract experiences, opportunities, money, love, success, abundance, trips, whatever you desire in your life naturally comes to you because you're in that open receptive container, right? And that's very feminine. You have to be open and receptive. And if you're too much in your masculine energy, you can kind of force things to happen, which kind of repels what you're looking to call into your experience.
How do you get all in? What do I mean by that? Where you're trusting, you're the self-love thing,
Hmm.
you feel like you've got it, you're sort of
Yeah.
you feel like it's there, but how do you know you're there? Like you want to maximize your opportunity for these things to come to you, to
Yeah.
attract it. But how do you know you're there?
It's a feeling. It's
Hmm.
it's literally it's a feeling. It's a knowing. That knowing will become very strong when you are fully in aligned with who you are. And that's the only way to describe it. And when you get there, there's no denying that you're there. Like you will know because you will wake up every day and you're just happy for no reason. You're just like, life is good. Didn't get the job, no big deal. You know, didn't
Yeah.
didn't get a call back for an audition, no big deal. Like you're just there, you're present and you're fulfilled and you're happy. Like, and those are really the feelings that are the way to describe when you've arrived, that you're not seeking anything outside of yourself now. You're actually falling into that space of being and you're trusting yourself that when the time is right, you're going to take the action needed to get the goal that you're looking to achieve, whatever that goal may be, whether it's manifesting money, manifesting more clients in your business, manifesting a trip, or even creating that relationship that you desire with your specific person. It really comes back to, can you just sit back and just be present and be fulfilled in your own life? Like being fulfilled and being happy again, because now you're not seeking anything outside of you. You know that you're the source of everything.
Is it a situation where, like you just said, didn't get the job, didn't get this, that didn't happen, and it's like a duck in water, just rolls off your shoulder, and
Hmm.
I'm good, I'm good. You know why I'm good? And this is not like, full of yourself, but I know good thing's coming. It's on its
Yeah,
way.
yeah,
It's a, where that would have been nice, but you know what? This next thing is coming my way. It's probably going
yeah.
to be even better.
And that's a great space to be in because again, now you're not looking for things, right? You have filled up your own cup with so much self-love. You learn to trust yourself. You've gotten into that space of confidence in yourself. You embody that state of being. You move differently, right? You wake up excited about life. So you're not waking up being like, oh, I got to do X, Y, and Z. You're embodying that state of you're just being, and
Mm.
you're just so filled. And when you get to that point, it is so easy to give selflessly to others, right? And we're here to serve, right? That's, I think, everybody's purpose in life is to serve. Like we have all these amazing gifts within us. We have to learn how to tap into those gifts and serve others with them. But what we need to do is fall into that space of self-love where we fill up our own cup with so much love and excitement and joy for ourselves that the abundance that we have within ourselves just overflows to people around us. And it's so easy to serve from that space of being. And you can serve naturally. You're not forcing yourself to do your job. You're not forcing anything. You are just excited about life. And you know when you get there because you wake up and it's just, yeah, life is good. And nothing can
Rock your
take it.
world.
Exactly. That was the word I'm looking for. Thank you. Nothing can change that, knock you over. No one can take it down or take it from you at this point.
Is it you just look for the glimmer? I call them glimmers, kind of a trending term. I
Hmm.
think it comes from glimmer of hope. So the little
Yeah.
glimmers, like, you wake up. Maybe it's not wow, it's going to be the best day ever. I'm going to do this. I mean,
Yeah.
it's another day in your life, but
Yeah.
got some good stuff coming up today. I'm going to be doing that. Bing, glimmer. Oh, later today after work, I'm going to do this. Glimmer. Looking for those and feeling that you got nourished by that. Is that part
Yes.
of it as well?
Yes. You feel nourished within. And that's exactly the right word. It's that nourishment. Oftentimes we seek relationships with other people to fill that nourishment or void within ourselves. And it's learning to come back to ourself and filling ourself up with that nourishment of self-love, self-care, taking care of ourselves, doing the things that we like, learning to value ourselves, right? Speak more kindly to ourselves, more positively, um, and doing things again that bring you excitement, whether it's going for a walk or going to the gym, going to a concert, dancing with your friends, whatever it is. We're not seeking that nourishment from something outside of ourselves because we now can fill up our own cup with that nourishment and that joy and fulfillment. And in doing that first for us, we just attract that, our energy just becomes radiant and you attract everything back to you.
I think I mentioned this last time, but I'm getting the same thing again.
Yeah.
It's like walking on a cloud.
Hmm.
It's not
Yeah.
artificial, it's real, but it just
No, it
feels like
is.
you're elevated, just like things are good. We're all
Yeah.
good here. It's almost like a little high of life. It's like
Yes.
we're kind of just navigating. Things are going to happen,
Right.
but it's not going to knock you off the cloud. You're still
Right.
going to be doing your thing along the
It's
way.
exactly like it comes down to that whatever you crave to create in your life, if it doesn't come in, you know that you're still full, whole, and complete at the end of
Yeah.
the day. And that's what we all would like to achieve, right? To get to that space of expansion, expansiveness, I guess is a great word to use as well, where we're filled up with our self-love. We filled up our own cup. We are nourished by that love that we have for ourselves. And then we just attract these experiences into our life, the opportunities that you want to experience in your life. But one key is to balance those masculine and feminine energies, right? It's coming
Hmm.
back to that too. We want to, you know, still be in a space of getting, you don't always just want to be in that receptive state where you're just like, just laid back and peaceful and nourishing and nurturing. You also at some point need to do stuff, right? Especially if you're with a job, for example, you need to take it, action, but it needs to be inspired. That's where the balance is. The inspired action. And the inspired action is always going to feel good and it's not going to be forced. So it's not like, oh, I'm going to go to the gym today. Oh, and then you're thinking about it. Oh, well, maybe I'll take this next exit because maybe there's something there. And just in that moment when you're thinking that, it's like you've already taken yourself out of the present moment and you didn't just trust yourself, right?
Hmm.
You have to trust that if you're going to, I don't know, something's telling me to go down this way is very different than like, oh, well, maybe there's an opportunity down this street. Like one is forced, one is inspired. And it's recognizing one when one is one versus the other.
I see the balance though, because there are some people in my mind, I think of, and it's like they just go through life like they nothing, that they're kind of just floating, like a
Hmm.
hippie chick. Hey, everything's good,
Yeah.
no problem. Then you have others like "Ah, rah, 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 rah," just regimented, and just everything's a schedule, and
Yeah.
finding that delicate balance. So,
Hmm.
but I guess that's the masculine and the feminine, and it
Right.
all comes back to getting those things to come your way through the
Yeah.
law of assumption. How do we find you? What's the best way to
Um,
reach out?
it's www.suecarabello.com is my website, or you can follow me on Instagram at Susan Carabello _.
And kudos for getting a domain in your name.
Thank you. It was actually, I tried to get Susan Carabello, but that was taken. So Sue Carabello it was.
Do people call you Sue as well?
Yes, they call me both
Uh,
and both are fine.
there's some dude out there with steveharper.com, and I've wanted
Oh,
to reach out
really?
to him because it's a nothing blog, and like it just pulls in just like silly stuff from. It's not even a website.
Yeah.
Share it, give it. Wonderful talk. You know what?
Yes.
I need to attract that to me.
Yes.
Hmm.
Set the
Hmm.
intention. Just feel like it's already done
Yeah.
and feel like you've already had the conversation that you want to have with this person. Then just let it go. And
Right.
then kind of like the parking spot, it'll happen when it's supposed to.
Well, that's a key point here.
Yeah.
It's in the universe's time.
Exactly. Yeah. You
We're in a
just,
different clock.
but it could, like, if you truly believe that will happen, it could show up tomorrow.
For sure.
Yeah.
Always great talking with you.
Yes. Talk
Yep.
to you soon.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Yep.
All
We'll
right.
be right back.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers. Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, I mean, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.